Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with another battle report. So I was at a game store the other day, actually nowhere near where I normally play, about an hour south of here, and a guy came in the store who recognized my Beastmen army from my battle reports, and said that he'd seen a lot of them, and told me his screen name. And sure enough, I've seen a lot of his comments on my games, and so we decided to pit his Beastmen versus my Beastmen and see how things went. So. Kind of an interesting matchup. I've never played Beastmen versus Beastmen, and we had been talking about some different strategies and approaches to the game, and so he was really experimenting with his list, which I thought was kind of interesting. So starting on the left, he's got his Doombull, and so he's going with the magic carpet flying Doombull. So he's still tough as nails. He just doesn't have all the little perks that my build gives mine, but he can fly around, and he does have a 4-up ward. So next to him, he's got a smallish unit of Ungor with spears. He's got 4 Razor Gores, and again, I've never seen him fielded like this. Usually you see him fielded individually, so I thought that was interesting. Then he's got a large horde of Gore with his Battle Standard Bearer, who's got the 206 build. So that whole horde is strength 4. And then behind it is the Herdstone Shard with 4 spellcasters. In this picture it looks like 3. That's because one is standing right behind the other one. You really can't see him very well. But basically he's got a level 4, that's his general with Lore of Beasts, and then he's got 3 level 1s. He's got the Herdstone Shard on one of them, but then he's got a feedback scroll and a hex scroll, which I thought was very, very interesting. Yeah, so he's got 2 with Shadow, 1 with Death, and I'm very curious to see how that works. I've used the Herdstone with 3 spellcasters before, but I can tell you after this game, with 4, it's just that much more. I mean, every magic phase he had, 9 or 10 power dice. It was it was crazy. Anyway, to the right of the horde, he's got a Gorgon, and then on the far side of his line, he's got the stone thrower. I'm blanking out at the moment. I think it's called a Cygor, but whatever. It's one that throws stones. So facing it on my far left, I just had my iPad there where I have a bunch of lists stored on it, so I just really grabbed a list that had my Doombull in it. So the way this list is kitted out, it's got 2 big blocks of Gore. I think they're just shy of 50 each. So here's my first one on the far left, and then with them I have my only spellcaster. He's level 2 with Beasts, has a scroll as well as a Stone of Spite. He might as well not have the Stone of Spite. I forgot all about it. One thing that I did differently this game too is I got the Amber Spear and I got Transformation of Gadon, and just on a whim I decided just to keep those 2 spells and not have Wyson's Wild Form, which made it really interesting because, well, I'll tell you in just a second. Let's see, Chariot, and then my other horde, and in that horde I've got my Battle Standard Bearer and my Beast Lord. Now if you look at my BSB, he does not have the Beast Banner. So I have 2 hordes of Gore, but they're strength 3 and I have no way of making them strength 4. So yeah, let's see how it works. They also only give them 1 hand weapon each, which is what I like to do if the unit is big enough, because I don't want to spend all those points for really no benefit. And of course I have my Beast Lord. He's my general. He's got the Stubborn Crown, 4-up ward, and Sword of Battle. Next to them I've got 10 Minotaurs with my Doombull, and that is that was designed to be in the middle of my line, but I noticed he went to one corner, and so that's why I put my other big horde in my corner instead of on the other side of these Minotaurs. But this unit can put the hurting on some things. Excuse me. And then on the far right I've got a Chariot and some more Harpies. So he gets the first roll. He moves up, as you can see. He flies his Doombull up very aggressively. I really can't get there with what I have. Actually scoots back with his Stone Thrower. We go to my turn. During his magic phase, even though we had all those dice, either nothing went off. Now I did have a scroll, but nothing went off except for the Curse of Honor here. So that just means with my horde, with my general, I was just going to walk up instead of march up, which I felt wasn't really a big deal. So it looks like that. I flew my Harpies up. I was able to get out of line of sight of his Ungor, and now I think they only need to roll a 7 to make a charge on his closest spellcaster, if he doesn't move his spellcasters. And I was very excited about that. And of course he can just take those guys and walk them around to the other side of the Herdstone, and that's really just going to buy him one more turn, and then those Harpies I think are going to be able to get back in there and start wreaking some havoc on those guys. So here on the far right, I think my biggest concern was that he would charge with his horde of gore as well as with his Gorgon into my Minotaurs. And if that happened, we'll just see how it goes. I'll have a ton of attacks, strength 5. He's going to have a ton of attacks, strength 4. I think he'd probably win that. That was really my only concern. So we go to his turn 2, and he elects not to charge. Instead, he just reforms to give himself ranks, and then moves his Gorgon to the side to get a countercharge. Flies his Doombull into my flank area, so he's going to just countercharge again. And then over here, I thought this was interesting. He didn't move his spellcasters, but he did turn his Ungors around so that if I charge my Harpies to his spellcasters, he can countercharge on his turn. Which, you know, it's going to cost him 1, maybe 2 level 1s, but it'll cost me my Harpies and save his level 4. You know, what I was really hoping for, though, is to get into combat and you know, just win combat once and then make him take a break test with all those guys, because they would flee right off the board. And I know the general's right there, he's leadership 8, but there's no reroll that's close enough. So that's what I was really hoping for, is to kill one in combat and then chase 1 or 2 off the board. Anyway, it looks like this on the right hand side. We go to Beastmen turn 2, and yeah, this is where things start getting bloody. So I actually charged with all 3 of my units, the big units, into his one big unit. And the general's unit rolled high enough to get there, but just when I went to move them, I moved them, the one that didn't make it, I moved them second, and they really couldn't fit between the Minotaurs and the other horde. And then I didn't feel like saying, well, let me move them last. So anyway, they failed to charge, and that was fine. They got the Minotaurs in the flank. The real surprise for him was that my leftmost unit could get in his other flank. And quite frankly, they just weren't that far away. I couldn't totally maximize because his Razor Gores were in the way, but I don't need to. It's a lot more attacks, it's a flank, and it gives me 5 ranks, which after all the fighting's done, he very likely will not be steadfast. On the right-hand side, I charge a Chariot into his Gorgon. I really don't think I'm going to win that, but I'd like to put a wound or 2 on that thing. You know, and hopefully just hold it up for a turn so that in case the Gore in the woods are steadfast, he doesn't countercharge with the Gorgon. If you look at the top left, my Harpies charged one of his spellcasters. Very happy with that. My Chariot charged his Razor Gore herd. I don't know why I did that. It would have been an awful mistake, but once my leftmost Gore made it into combat, my Chariot at that point could not complete the charge, so he just had to stumble forward a little bit. So that's what that looks like. I do not have extra hand weapons on neither on my Gore nor on my Minotaurs, but that's still a lot of attacks. Yeah, that is not a good place you want to be. Now, during his magic phase, he actually got Pan's Impenetrable Pelt off on his Battle Standard Bearer. So, whatever. But in doing so, he miscast. And that'll show up why that's more important later. But you can see all the cards around. During his magic phase, he actually got a lot of spells off. One, he got the big version of Miasma off on my Minotaurs, and then rolled D3, he got a 3. So their movement, their weapon skill, everything is down to nothing. So charging them in was actually kind of scary. I wasn't sure I was going to make it, and if I make it, my guys are weapon skill 1. So they're hitting on 5s. You know, they're not going to do nearly as much damage as I would like, but I still... You know, they got impact hits, they have stomp, I think they'll be okay. So the Harpies on the right, I'd rather get up to threaten his spellcasters, but I don't want to give his Cygor an easy charge into him. Now all those dice, what that means, when he got Pan's Impenetrable Pelt off, he miscast and then rolled a 4. He did not get sucked into the warp, but he did have a strength 10 hit on himself and all the spellcasters, so they all took a wound. So currently the 2 on his level 4 that die with 2 up, he means that he has 2 wounds left. But then after this turn he switched it, and then he's counting the number of wounds it's taken. So that's why all the spellcasters have taken a wound. My Harpies into 1, their chances of getting 1 wound off are extremely high. And then during my magic phase I get... You knew this was coming. I got Transformation of Kadan off, turned my level 2 into a Mountain Chimera. And I got an Irresistible Force, and whatever the miscast did just really wasn't very much. I think if anything I might have killed some of his guys. So yeah, he had the hex scroll, he had the feedback scroll. I mean, he could have, using the hex scroll, I could have turned into a chimera and then immediately turned into a frog. I mean, just, you know. Anyway, yeah, that's really a bad day to be a gore in the woods. Yeah, I don't care. The Minotaurs were weapon skill 1. I needed 5s to hit, and doggone it all, I don't think I've ever had a game where I rolled this high. They all rolled 5s. It didn't matter. The Minotaurs absolutely went to town. The Mountain Chimera went to town. The Gores didn't do a whole lot. They didn't need to. Absolutely crushed this unit. Now this is before he took his break test because I just had to take a picture of it. He just, I mean, I killed at least 30 or 35 models, I think. Just absolutely sick. Over here, I was pretty happy. The Chariot came in, actually did 3 wounds on the Gorgon. I mean, crazy lucky. He turned around and did 3 wounds on me, which I expected him to kill me, and I actually won combat. So he held stubborn 10, but that's as much as I could have hoped for. So after the break test, my Minotaurs, of course, had to pursue the remains of that Gore unit, so they did, and of course didn't catch them. And then I reformed my other horde to face the rest of his army. He's got a Doombull and some Razor Gores, and I'm just really not worried about it. I really think he could bring both of those in, and this horde is so big that it's going to, you know, they'll get enough wounds over time that it won't be a big deal. If you look in the upper left, my Harpies killed the one spellcaster, overran into another one, and they all passed their panic tests. So my plan didn't work. I was hoping they would panic right off the board. Didn't happen. But at least he's down by 1, and even if his Ungors charge in, I get to strike first, and I'll have, I think, 6 attacks going on that one spellcaster, and so I think I'll kill him before the fight's over. So we go to the top of the 3rd, and he does pretty much everything that I said he was going to do. His Doombull and his Razor Gores came into my horde. His Ungors went to the rear of my Harpies. His Gores continued to flee, and his really the monsters on the right, the Cygor, just kind of moved up a little bit. So there's that. Now, of course, I know during his magic phase he's going to try to dispel my transformation, and if he does, my wizard will go right back where he was, which means he'll be in the corner and out of combat. So that's kind of nice. I'm really hoping he fails to, because that would just be awesome. To throw all my attacks of my Mountain Chimera into his Doombull. My biggest concern about the Razor Gores, yeah, this turn charging in, they're just going to kill a bunch of guys. The problem is it takes 6s for me to wound those guys, and that's the big problem. I have so many attacks. Hitting them's not a problem, but wounding them is. But my thinking is, I have so many attacks, surely I'm going to roll some 6s. So there are the Ungor in the rear of my Harpies. Another view of the board. And it looks, oh yeah, that's at his magic phase. He was able to dispel it, so I've got my level 2 sitting there on 1 wound. He's not in combat, so the Doombull can't just throw 1 attack at him, which is kind of nice. Over here, during the magic phase, he miscasts and kills a Harpy or 2. It's kind of funny. I think they did, this is before combat even. Yeah, he killed one of his spellcasters, and again, didn't even go to combat. Killed my Harpies. He lands a stone on this Gore herd, kills a few of them. And after combat, it looks like that. Yeah, I just couldn't do anything. I think I did 2 wounds to his Razor Gore herd. He did, between the Doombull and those Razor Gores, did a ton of wounds on my guys. I think he did about 15. Just a ton of them. We were steadfast 9 rerollable. We stuck. And we go to, oh, here we go. Yeah, so my Harpies, he killed his one mage through his miscast. I killed the other mage in combat. He killed my Harpies and reformed. So of his 4 wizards or spellcasters, he's down to 1. But it is his level 4, and he's sitting on 1 wound only. And of course, his Gorgon kills my Chariot and gets a frenzy. We didn't put a frenzy marker yet. We started putting him out later, so he's frenzied now. And we go to my turn 3. So on the right, the Harpies charged his fleeing unit of Gore, I mean, because I really thought I could catch him, and it would move my Harpies so much closer to his level 4. But he just rolled fairly high with them, and my Harpies failed to charge. There was nobody at that point from my Minotaurs to charge, so they reformed, and in hindsight, it was not a great reform. And I took my chariot into the side of his Doombull, really just hoping to do impact hits and do something to him. In hindsight, it might have been better to take this turn to move him around and maybe charge his Razor Gores later or something like that. So there's the Minotaurs looking for something to charge. Here's the Harpies failing their charge. Yeah, there's a chariot going in. Good luck. And yeah, you'll notice a significant number of my Gore are dead. The chariot's dead. I did do a wound on the Minotaur Doombull, so I felt that was something. We killed a Razor Gore, which is something, but yeah, really, I just can't get past the high toughness of the Razor Gore, so they stuck around. And I've got this whole horde with my Beast Lord to the right of this picture, down below the picture. There's nothing they can do. It's just awkward. They're too far away from his monsters. They can't get into the fight here, so they're just sitting there doing nothing except providing leadership and rerolls. So he goes to his turn 4, and yeah, his Ungor coming to the flank of my Gore, as does his level 4, and I don't know why he did that, except, I mean, he had a reason. He told me the reason. I'm just forgetting what it was. It might have been to save his level 4 from an easy Minotaur charge or something like that. So with his Ungor coming in, he's going to have, I won't be steadfast, so this round he's certainly going to kill that whole horde. Whether he runs him down or not, he's likely to, because he'll have 3d6 with his flying Doombull. But what he's hoping to do is pursue far enough that the Minotaurs won't be able to countercharge. And that's where I realized that it was really a bad reform with my Minotaurs, because they can't see enough. I needed to have angled them more. Otherwise, his other monsters are hanging out back here, as you can see. And look, there's 3 wounds on the Gorgon. That's great. And after combat, yeah, ironically, it took. I think the Doombull was the one that caught him, but the other 3, none of them caught my Gore, and it doesn't matter. The Gore's off the table. He pursues, as you can see. His Doombull rolled high enough that he hit my Gore unit, and I told him that since he was going to hit the Gore unit, he treats it like a regular charge, and he can wheel and do whatever he wants. So he brought his Doombull way over here to the right. You notice the Doombull now has taken 2 wounds, so I feel that's at least something. Otherwise, like you can see, it looks like that. Now the big thing was when his Ungor pursued, he only rolled a 4, and my Minotaurs could just barely see him. It was close enough that neither one of us wanted to say adamantly whether they could or couldn't, so we brought over somebody else, and they said, yes, the Minotaurs can see him. So there's the Doombull with 4 frenzy markers. Yeah, he's a bad man. So we go to my turn 4. Minotaurs come into the rear of the Ungor. He considered fleeing, but just the distance wasn't that far. So if he fled, I certainly would have caught him. I think what he was hoping here is, even if he loses combat, he'll likely get away, because I only pursue d6, and then after he gets away, maybe he can rally later. So that's what he was thinking right there. I really don't have much on the table. There's nothing for my Harpies to do now, really. And I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, my Horde couldn't charge anything because they were tied up with the Doombull. And I don't have any magic because my spellcaster died. So here's hoping the Minotaurs can really open up a can on those Ungors. And they do. The problem is they only overrun d6. Of course, they couldn't run them down. But yeah, it looks like that. And in case you didn't notice, that's an Ungor. It's the only one left. The Minotaurs came in and just killed an absolute ton of them. They killed all of them but one. The one got away, obviously on Snake Eyes. My concern is this is turn 4. I mean, he may not flee off the board and he'll save all those points. So anyway, overall it looks like that. We go to his turn. Now during my turn when we fought this battle down here, I just had my champion issue a challenge, so it saved a bunch of wounds. So now he comes in with both his monsters, his Doombull and his Razor Gores. And I think this has turned out to be a really interesting game, because when I broke his unit in the woods, I really felt, man, all his spellcasters are gone, that big unit's gone, his battle standard bearer's gone. What does he have that's going to affect me? But you know, this unit at the bottom, my unit, has been kept out of fighting while he picked on one and got them off the table, and now he's able to pick on this one. So I kind of like it. It's kind of turned into a much closer game than I thought it was going to be. Again, he brought his level 4 in. I think he's doing that hoping to turn him into a, you know, use the transformation spell, turn him into something. But that's going to really hurt. This looks like a big unit that I have, but those Doombull, 2 monsters, and 3 Razor Gores are going to do a lot of wounds. And of course, I'm strength 3, so I'm certainly not going to be doing a whole lot of wounds. What I'm hoping is to, if nothing else, put 1 more wound on his level 4 and at least get that thing dead. That, of course, wasn't to happen. My Beast Lord was able to really help out with the Razor Gores. You notice the Razor Gores are down to 1 left, and it's sitting on 1 wound. So that's nice. But you can see all the damage I took. Just gads. Look at his Gorgon tried to do the swallow whole thing to gain back some wounds, and it failed. And the few attacks I had on him, I actually did 2 wounds on him. Just crazy. So he's sitting on 1 wound left. The Spellcaster's on 1 wound left. The Razor Gores are only on a wound. Yeah. But his Doombull is now going to have 5 frenzy markers. So we go to my turn 4. The Doombull and the Minotaurs come in the back of the Cygor. Now, what I'm thinking there is, one, they can just kill them, and then they're only going to contribute wounds to this combat. They're not going to get the charge, the banner, the rank, and all that kind of stuff, because I really think they're going to kill this thing and then be out of combat. But then afterwards, they can overrun and hit the Doombull and participate next time with all that combat res. So I was happy enough with that. I did bring my Harpies up because I want them to, by turn 6, be able to charge his remaining Ungors to chase it off the board should I need to. And yeah, so the Minotaurs just, they did so many wounds on that Cygor, it wasn't even funny. It wasn't even close. But then, yeah, he's just really whittling down this unit. The unit's still steadfast. I don't need it to be steadfast because my Beast Lord has the Crown of Command, and I'm keeping him away from the Doombull with 5 or 6 frenzy markers. I mean, he's capped out at 10 attacks now. We were not able to finish off the last Razor Gore. We weren't able to finish off the Gorgon. But oh, this is bloody. Now the bad news is, when I overran with my Minotaurs, I rolled a 2. And I missed hitting his Doombull by about 1 millimeter, maybe even less. It was, so I stopped him about 1 inch away. So he's going to get another round of fighting without my Doombull in there, and then the Doombull gets to come in. So during his this would be top of the 5th, he issued a challenge. I really couldn't I couldn't say no to it because my Beast Lord, there was no place he could hide that he wouldn't be touching an enemy model somewhere. So I accepted. I moved all the way to the corner, so it kind of pushed his Gorgon, so the Gorgon couldn't really do any attacks. And now I'm just hoping my Beast Lord can survive against this Doombull until I get some more combat res in there to help me out. By the time the Minotaurs come in, I'll have so few Gore left that he shouldn't actually get much combat res through killing these guys. So overall, at the end of his turn, it looks like that. The Razor Gore finally dies. Still can't put a wound on his level 4. My Beast Lord and the Doombull exchange wounds, so that was very, very nice and much appreciated. And we finally get into combat here where my Minotaurs and Doombull can come in the action. So they come in the back of his Doombull, but of course that Doombull is protected because he's fighting my Beast Lord. I'm really just hoping to beat him through combat res, and it doesn't happen. So he kills my Beast Lord General, and that takes, and the unit dies. So now his level 4 and his Gorgon are out of the combat, so they don't even have to take a break test. They don't even lose combat. I won combat, but it doesn't affect those two. So the Gorgon keeps all of his attack markers. His Doombull lost combat, so he lost all his frenzy markers, and he was not able to reform. So I'm going to, next round of combat, be able to fight him with my Doombull and have a lot of combat res as well. So we go to the top of his turn. Really, really surprised me. He charged his level 4 with 1 wound left into the flank of my Minotaurs. And he did it because he was losing the game anyway, so he's going for broke, going to try to get transformation off. His Gorgon goes into the flank of my Harpies, which I felt, now I feel dumb for putting him there, but whatever. his gore ran off the board. So it was, yeah, all a waste. So it looks like that. We're going to get a challenge between my Doombull and his Doombull, which I'm pretty excited to see what happens. His guy's going to die flat out unless he turns himself into a monster. And even then, he's going to be fighting 3 Minotaurs that have 5 frenzy markers. Yeah. So he does it. He turns him into a Black Hydra because he's got a 4-up regen save. I don't know how many wounds it has. I think it was something like 5 wounds, something like that. So, yeah, I'm going to get to go first, and I'm going to have 24 attacks. 3 Minotaurs at 3 base attacks and 5 frenzy attacks each. 24 attacks in that thing, and he's going to be just hoping his regen can hold out. Yeah, do you like how my model's being used against me? And when it's all said and done, my Doombull absolutely slaps around his Doombull, which is to be expected. 1, I have 5 frenzy markers, he has none, and 2, mine is kitted out for fighting, whereas he has most of his points, half of his points spent so he can fly, which isn't helping him here. So just chew him up and spit him out. He didn't even get to attack me. 24 attacks on his Black Hydra. Regen didn't save the day even close, not a bit. So they slapped him around, and it looks something like that. The Harpies, of course, are no more. So we come into the rear of the Gorgon, and yeah, I mean, that was never going to be close. See, my Minotaurs didn't even get to attack. My Doombull killed it without even breaking a sweat. So that was it. It's such a weird list. That I have with this. I'm left with 1 character in 1 unit, and it's still just a ton of points. But of course, his army has nothing left on the table. I felt that it was really, the game was in the bag there at the front, and then at the first of the game, and then I felt that he had a pretty good turnaround where things got dicey, and then at the end, yeah, the Doombull and Minotaurs were able to clean up. After it was over, about a half hour after the game, he came up to me and said that he realized that he forgot to put 200 points worth of models on the table. So his Ungor unit of about 20 was supposed to be about 60, I think. And I'm thinking, that's huge. It's almost like a hollow victory. I mean, you showed up with 200 points less. But I think he was just kind of throwing together some ideas for his list and just kind of made a mistake with it. You know what? 40 Ungors would have made a difference in the game, and it maybe could have been really interesting. So anyway, it was a real fun game. Hope you enjoyed it.